Greetings and welcome back to Switch to Linux with another supporters stream. Unmute everybody before I forget. How's it going, everybody?
Hello.
Hello.
Just fine.
All right. Well, it would appear that my mysterious illness is the goof. But, you know, it was actually going around a friend of mine's workplace, and being is that we hang out on Sundays, and, you know, he's very young and I'm extraordinarily healthy. Well, we're both extraordinarily young and healthy. He's extraordinarily younger than I am, but yeah, neither one of us had any real thing. I said, I think we might actually both have the coof here just because we simply lost our taste of sense and smell. You know, I had a tiny bit of a fever for about a day and a half, but oh my Lord, it's like the worst illness I've ever had in my life. Except for that sinus infection, which was bacterial about a month ago. That was actually bad.
I'm watching the live stream on my other monitor here, and the auto subtitle, when you said you had the coof, it said you have the duck.
I have the duck. Quack. So, yeah, it's, you know, so what? I've always treated it like ever since I was first showing any symptoms of illness at all, I kept myself isolated from other people just because, and, you know, in case that's what it was. But, you know, looking at all the numbers, because I'm always into looking at the numbers, as of, I didn't pull numbers today, but as of yesterday, 25% of all alleged hospitalizations had been fully jabbed. So clearly, I made the wrong decision. Everyone go get jabbed.
Yeah, but then you are going to be in the lucky position that you're going to have the natural immunity, which apparently is better than.
Well, you can't talk about stuff like that, though. You're not allowed to talk about that kind of stuff. But anyway, we're doing just fine, and today we're talking about Office suites and Linux. If I don't just keel over and die of the coof today, I mean, I'm just, you know. So that's the case. Only problematic thing is I have this glorious ginger peach tea that I can't taste at all. But oh well.
But if you do go down, it's going to be the longest STL live stream ever.
That's right. We are just shooting for the longest STL stream ever here. Because if something does happen to happen, it's going to be a while before somebody finds me at the foothills of the mountains where I'm at right now. So, you know, but that's okay. You know, by the time somebody finds me, the cats will have already eaten half my body, and that's all good. You know, I don't need it anymore. But yeah. So and honestly, I feel perfectly fine because this thing is so dangerous. But anyway, let's jump in to comments before we get talking about Linux Office suites. Currently using Copyright Office Modernization Historical Public Records program to update video. Long-term goal is to make these digitalized historical public records available in a centralized manner. Reminds me of Galaxy Quest. Yeah, there was another old movie as well that did the same thing. Of course, it's very similar also to like 1984, where everything is this centralized digital repository where you can just change stuff as you need to.
Galaxy Quest is an excellent movie. I remember one of the hall meetings with the Star Trek. In one of the Star Trek conventions, the one who played number one, I don't remember all their names, on TNG. He told I can't believe I don't remember their name. He told
that was weird.
He told the guy who plays Picard. I'm just brain farting on his name.
Mm-hmm.
He told him about this movie, and he has heard, he had heard some bad reviews of it. But his colleague pushed him to watch it, and he later said that it was the best Star Trek fan film ever.
Cool. Good. Welcome back, Dan.
I don't know what happened. I dropped everything and it said error connection failure. I refreshed it and it came back. I think the internet's got the coof.
Nah, maybe it's my internet's not as good. I should probably be streaming from where I usually do. I have a lot better internet, but we'll just stick with the bottom of this mountain for now, and hopefully it works. No drop frames on OBS so far, which is good. But we have some LibreOffice, SoftMaker Office on Linux. It's not open source. No, it's not open source. We didn't say we're talking about open source Office suites. We're talking about Office suites in Linux, and we'll touch on the open source part as well. And it isn't even free. That's right. We're going to get into some of that because that is the program that Manjaro wanted to make the default. Like, why? Manjaro is making me wonder anymore. Anyway, LibreOffice for me says Razzler Review, best way to cook your books. Don't be cooking books. You're not allowed to do that. 3 books and 2 are high and low estimates, all within $5 of each other. Only books. Yep, good.
It's that Linux perception. You know, people think because you run Linux, you're a hacker. If you got LibreOffice, now you're a book cooker.
Ooh. Well, I mean, the only books you should be cooking are your cookbooks. I mean, in reality. But anyway. Moonbase self-agrees. Use LibreOffice when you need to. There you go. Everyone, it's good timing. Just got rid of MS Office 365. Well, welcome, and maybe we'll give you some things to look into. Footnotes, look at LibreOffice. All right. Use LibreOffice from our computer, and if I'm in college, I use MS Office, of course, but do hop between LibreOffice and OnlyOffice. My phone, if I need to make a quick edit, I use OnlyOffice's app. Very cool. Very nice. Can't say I've played around with the apps on phones because I just don't use my phones for much more than phone calls. I've been using LibreOffice for years on my Linux machines, but if I'm on my tablet, Google Docs does work well. Okay. Eli in the Wolverine state. Hello, Eli. Eli, the computer guy, Wolverine. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Different Eli. Let's see. Office Kitty Major is in the house. That's right. Well, he's up in the front of the house. He's chilling out there. If the van starts driving away, the cats have taken it over. One of them's down there by the gas pedals pushing that, and then the other cat's up there on the steering wheel like this. It's kind of cute, really, but they're a little terrifying at times. But they're not a bad driver. When I get too tired, I tell them to drive. There have been times in my life when losing my sense of smell would have been a great adventure. I'm telling you, the cat, for the last week, the cat has been dropping nuclear bioterrorism right in this litter box here, and I don't even know it. I don't care. And so it's great. I mean, and all the jokes about smelling and tasting stuff this weekend were just glorious, I gotta say. Yeah, it was the Koofies. How does the useless natural immunity feel that is better than that needlecraft? Yeah, well, I mean, that's friend was like, hey, I just gave you some natural immunity to stuff. That's all cool. I'm like, oh, that's fine. That's fine. I'm good with that. I get tested every Wednesday since I said no to needlecraft. All right, good luck. Harvard University has, Harvard University has 95% intelligence rate, and had to be shut down because of too many Caseys. Like, okay, guys, this is yeah. Anyway, I don't want to talk about all these, especially since there are some new Uzi Tubesies regulations about talking about any form of needlecraft at all. And they're just looking for reasons to kill us all. So let's get back to our Linux Office suites. Gets delivered, I will. OnlyOffice for the win. Save to PDF. LibreOffice can do that too. Dan Kelly, thank you for that. LibreOffice all the way. Awesome. Android tablet, so I need Android. There you have it. OnlyOffice is good, but it is slow when opening compared to LibreOffice. The biggest problem I found with OnlyOffice is it's not compatible with the type of formatting you need to do typesetting in books. Sam Laser says, hello from the world's largest prison cell, that being Australia. I'm keeping an eye on what's going on down there. I'd probably rather be in mainland China right now. So if you guys might need to bust out of your island state and head on over to China for safety. Yeah, very interesting. He said no to unwilling acupuncture. All right. Acupuncture, excuse me. That's a good one.
Fauci puncture.
If I would use Linux, I would use WPS Office with LibreOffice as a backup. Okay. YouTube's new rules. I'm glad Odyssey is now live streaming. Yeah, I mean, we will need to investigate that soon. Alex uses MS Office, WP Office, and Libre is there just in case. Do I have a Pine phone? I do not have a Pine phone. No. I don't think it's quite ready for the degree of production that I need my phone to be. Australia was known as a penal colony. Yes, and it is now once again a penal colony. All right. Let's get into Office Suites. Solbu, we'll go ahead and start with you because I think you said you have the most experience with different Office Suites. So what can you tell us? What's your favorite? Why? What's wrong with the alternatives? Blah, 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 blah.
My first Office suite was Office 97, back when I still had Windows 95, I think. It was the only Office Microsoft Office suite that I had. And when I a few years later switched converted to Linux, my first of the Office suite that came with Red Hat 7.1 that I used at the time was something called K Office, as in KD. And I used that for many years until OpenOffice came along and was installed by default in the next Mandrake that I used after that. And I've been using that ever since, up until LibreOffice came and everyone switched to that. So I never even used the other alternatives because LibreOffice and K-Office before that, it did what I needed them to do. And before I used an actual Office suite, I used my first word processor was on MS-DOS utility called WordPerfect. I used that for a month or so, I think. And then I discovered a neat a file manager, Norton Commander. It had a built-in file editor, and I used that to write plain text files. And these days, I still use plain text for everything that I write for my own self. So the only time that I actually use an Office suite is for spreadsheets. And when I need to send formal letters or formal documents somewhere. For everything else, I use plain text files.
Okay, very good. Dan, do you have anything you want to add into Office Suite stuff real quick?
I think with Office Suites, I first really experienced with them was the free Office Suite. I think it was Open Office from Oracle.
Yep.
Many years ago. And then it quit getting updates, and it just kind of lingered around until I actually discovered Linux and found out about this LibreOffice thing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay. So I did some research, and OpenOffice was dead, and everybody's using LibreOffice. I mainly did it. I used the spreadsheets for my work so I could keep track of my hours every week, and that was about the extent of that. The thing I probably use the most is the document viewer that's packaged with most Linux distros. It allows you to view PDFs. It easily sends them to the printer, and the printer will chisel out a tablet, and I'll have a document.
Mm-hmm. Good.
But that's my extent of using those.
Yeah, I use, I might be more considered a power user of Office Suites, from anything from, doing things with work to I use LibreOffice to typeset books. And so, of course, all my books are sent out to print through KDP's printing platform, Ingram Spark's printing platform. So I do all that formatting inside of LibreOffice, which does not seem to work well in most other Office suites. I also use for my Christian streams. I do actually use the Impress now for doing the Bible verses in line with the view, and so I use LibreOffice for that. Of course, my accounting is done on LibreOffice with spreadsheets, and I use the databasing application. And the databasing application is what is missing from most of your basic Office suites on Linux, because most of them are just packaging a word processor, presentation software, and a spreadsheet. But LibreOffice actually gives you a full-fledged databasing application as well, which I use to keep logs of the books and such that I'm selling. So that is probably the biggest Office suite available on Linux, and probably the most popular Office suite on Linux would be LibreOffice. But there's some Office suites that are coming down, and some Office suites are trying to get their way into the defaults. Of course, Manjaro made waves about a year and a half ago when it tried to push SoftMaker Office into its distribution instead of LibreOffice, and it caused everybody to lose their crap, because not only is SoftMaker Office not free, it is also deeply proprietary. So it's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, well, it's coming with a free license. What the hell are you doing, Manjaro? And so now we have the option. You can do no Office suite LibreOffice or SoftMaker Office. But
Debian Bullseye does come down with this version 7.2 you get with it.
Yep.
So Debian ain't giving you all old antique stuff. They do put some new stuff in there too.
Yeah, I thought there was a newer version. I guess 7.2 is the new one. How's it going there, Mark? You are muted though, Mark. There you go. No, not yet. Mark is muted. There
I'm just getting off of work recently, and
all right, very fun.
And it's wall to wall action.
All right. Well, our topic is Linux Office suites. Do you have a preferred favorite, or what's your take on different Office suites?
LibreOffice is what I use day in and day out for my MSP stuff and for anything personal. As a secondary choice, I do like WPS's offerings, albeit I don't like some of the stuff they do with the free version. Mm-hmm. If it kind of makes me not want to do a paid version with them, well, there's no sense, because LibreOffice works perfectly for me. And they used to, years ago, put up an ad in the free version, and it was just annoying. You had to click out of it, and I'm like, it just rubbed me the wrong way. I believe WPS is proprietary too, but like I say, I mainly use.
It is proprietary, and it has a EULA that you're agreeing to certain terms of the company to use it.
Yeah. I would say their EULA is not great, based on kind of how they do things.
Yeah, so WPS is free, but it is proprietary and has a EULA to it. And so I pulled out some of your common ones. So LibreOffice, of course, we already talked about this. The LibreOffice suite is available, pretty much it's going to be available on whatever your Linux distribution is. You also have the app image, the Snap, the Flatpak. They are doing some of the online stuff. I actually have an online version of it as well that replaces Google Docs. I integrated into my Nextcloud. So those are all really good options. And then you do have a still, and you have an Edge version of it. And so if you want the absolute latest on Arch, you can choose which one of those you want to use.
If I can, I'm hoping I'm going to talk to my, I don't know who I talked to about it, but my company they currently use Google Docs. I think I can say that. A lot of companies do. I'm not going to tell you the company name. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I don't know why they don't use something like LibreOffice, and they may not even realize that LibreOffice is a thing, but I do want to kind of plant a bug in some people's ear
the thing is
there's no
it's
sense in
not
having that.
it's not easy for a company to necessarily implement the online version of LibreOffice, and OnlyOffice also has an online version as well. They really need to be a company that is committed to the open source philosophy in order to do that, because it does not have quite as many of the robust features as Office does, as Google Docs does. In reality, it does work great, and it works fine for me for the collaboration that I've had to use it for. But it's not as simple as just declaring you're using it as Google has made it, which is the unfortunate thing. But for small companies or companies that are more into that open source commitment, those companies, it is worth doing, and that's what we need to think about more often than not.
Yeah, for me and my MSP work, even if somebody might not think they need it, they might have to type up something in the future. It's just good to have a PDF reader, and it's good to have a Word and Excel for a lot of people. Not everybody, but I typically load LibreOffice on a lot of my clients' machines as an alternative to Microsoft Word, and I've gotten now to where I go in and I uninstall the pre-baked in Microsoft Word and Excel trial and all that, and it frees up hard disk space if they're running Windows. And like I do try to steer them toward LibreOffice, and a lot of people use it, or at least a few of my clients use it regular, and they really like it. So, and it's natively, as far as any kind of drawbacks to it, a lot of people have trouble. They say they claim to have trouble with it working in Microsoft Office when you share a document or when you email a document. That's simply not the case, because if you save it as a native Word document, it gives you the option in the drop down and save as up top. You click save as, and then drop down that list and save it as a dot. If it's a spreadsheet, you'll want to save it as a dot XLSX, and then as a doc X as the Word document. And I use it for spreadsheets. I have some information that I rely on. I have it pulled up, and the cool thing about LibreOffice, it's got like a preview box, kind of, so to speak. When you open it up, I've started just using the main icon, the one little universal icon that they give you with it, and it'll pull up all my recent, documents that I'm looking at, or anything that I kind of keep pinned there at all times, because I need it for quick access, and that saves me time from digging into my folders and stuff. Plus, with Catfish and stuff like that, it makes it even easier to find documents.
Absolutely. The next one I want to look at is OnlyOffice. This is probably the leading contender. Like LibreOffice, it does have it's a free, it is an open source application. You will notice on the listing up here, they have pricing. These are for cloud support, like, just paying for support. And also they do make it a little bit easier than LibreOffice does to run your online instance. So if you are a company looking at doing a Google Docs type implementation, OnlyOffice is a little bit better at that. They're trying to position themselves as being a better replacement for Microsoft Office. The default layout is much more similar to Microsoft Office. I personally don't like it, but I'm probably a minority at this point in time. But those are all things you can change in LibreOffice as well. The biggest concern for me about OnlyOffice, and the reason I don't generally use it, is I am an author, and you cannot typeset a book in OnlyOffice, as far as I know, because of doing the way you set gutter margins inside of book pages when you're doing interior design typesetting. you need to be able to set a left page and a right page have separate margins. And when I tried to do this in OnlyOffice, it wipes out even the existing margins you have, and they did not have any given options. So you didn't have the ability to go in and set specific page margins based on the page number, the page count, or things like that. But if you're looking for something that is supposedly more compatible with Microsoft Office, that's what OnlyOffice is positioning itself as. Again, I have not seen this mass incompatibility between Microsoft Office and LibreOffice either. I think, as Mark said, it boils down to, are you saving it as the right file extension, and do you have the same fonts on your computer? If you're doing those two things, you pretty much solve every one of those issues outside of extraordinarily weird and obscure little odds and ends, like, deeply embedding an Excel sheet with a macro inside of a Word document, and I would be really surprised if OnlyOffice would fix that situation as well. But who knows?
Right.
Two other ones that we will see. One of those is WPS Office that we mentioned. The WPS Office is free, but it is not open source. It is proprietary. And you do actually have to agree to a EULA in order to use it. It is available on many Linux distributions, so you can just go ahead and download it from your repository if you want to play around with it. You can see that they do have Google and Apple apps as well. And again, they are trying to position themselves to work well with Microsoft Office. But for whatever that happens to be worth. Again, they don't have a database suite. Neither does OnlyOffice that I know of. But they don't have a database suite, so it's just going to be your W, your P, and your S. And so there's that. Does anybody here of the panel use WPS at all?
I really haven't heard of it until now.
Yeah, me neither.
Nobody's heard of it? Really?
No.
It's the default on a few different Linux distributions. I know I played around with it a little bit. Okay, well, I thought
I'm not a deep dive writer, so
Yeah, and you said you don't use a lot of document stuff either way. I think maybe me and Mark might be the biggest user of some of these obscure ones.
You're a publisher.
Yeah.
Mark's got his own business, and I sit here and play games all day.
There you go.
Nothing wrong with that. What browser do you use?
Well, you've put in your time, right?
I put in my time.
He has. You worked hard for many, many years, sir.
Yes, I did. I did a lot of nasty jobs that nobody else would step up to the plate to do.
Yeah. Is there an Android WPS? According to their website, there is WPS Office for Android. Let's go ahead and click that button there, see what that gets us. Let's see here. So it's rated 4.6. Let's see what the permissions are. Precise GPS location. I'm not sure why an Office suite needs your precise GPS location. Wi-Fi connections, and maybe take pictures and video. Possibly if you're integrating pictures into stuff, I can understand. Find accounts on the device. No. Contacts. Find accounts on the device. No. I would recommend not using WPS on Android. It appears to want a whole lot more permission than it needs. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it is a Chinese company. Singapore. It's from Singapore. So is that considered a Chinese company now or not? Or is that on the radar? I forget.
On Wikipedia, it says that it's a Chinese software developer company. So.
Yeah. So
if in doubt, it's from China.
Yeah. So be careful of that. The permissions that it asks for are extreme for an Office suite, and so we have to be careful of that. I thought I saw an Android version over here. Let's compare this to OnlyOffice. So having a look at OnlyOffice, let's look at our permissions there. So OnlyOffice, photos and media. So Photos, media, files. That makes sense because if you're saving files or you're attaching photos, it does want contacts. I don't know why it would need that, except maybe sharing them. It doesn't have as many permissions, but it still has probably a few more than you would want. But I would say of the two, OnlyOffice is going to be a whole lot better from the privacy standpoint. Now, I don't think we... Oh, wait, hold on. We do. We think we do have one for LibreOffice.
Handing out contacts is kind of like ratting out all your friends.
Yeah. Let's look at the Play Store over here. So this is Calibora, which is the online platform. And notice LibreOffice, photo, media, storage, network access. That's it. That, folks, is why I like LibreOffice. Okay, even its online Android is even a lot less permission seeky than OnlyOffice. WPS is like, give us all your data. One last Office suite that I have pulled out the link for, and that is SoftMaker Office. This is the controversial one that isn't even free, that Manjaro was going to pre-install. Of course, you can get a trial version, and if you installed SoftMaker Office as part of an install on Manjaro, then you get the free version without having to pay for it. But again, what they're trying to do here, as you can see from their website here, they are trying to match the design of Microsoft Office. Again, I think it's an abhorrent look. I hate these toolbars. You can never find what you need in them. But again, it is it's your basic text spreadsheet and presentation suite. We don't really have anything else. And we do have the cost of this is about $50 per year for that one. And then there is a professional version, which is a one-time purchase of $100. So this is up to 5 individual computers. And it spell checks 20 languages. Wow. Excellent German spell and grammar checking. That's high on my list. Anybody else? Is that high on anybody else's list?
I opened the Wikipedia article on
Barfignugan.
And the SoftMaker is a German company, so I would expect that the privacy or privacy aspects of the suite is vastly preferred than the Chinese maker.
Mm-hmm. So. Okay. Sure. And it looks like they do have an Android option here as well. Let's go ahead and have a look at what this one looks like. It looks like you need to get them all separate. Okay. Let's assume that they all have the same permissions. So photos and media, contacts, identify accounts on the device, add or remove accounts, storage, read email attachments, run at startup, Google Play license check, use accounts on the device, full network access. So it's a little bit compatible permissions-wise with OnlyOffice. LibreOffice is still quite a bit better. WPS is infinitely worse. So from those perspectives. Again, it's I'm not sure why one would want to use SoftMaker as opposed to Libre or OnlyOffice, even WPS, unless it's really bringing something amazing to the table, which I can't really tell. And to get even the free license, you have to give them your email address in order to do that. And so for me, that's kind of a deal breaker. We're talking about Office suites. This is only just a small portion of Office suites available on Linux. There are tons. You can pull up any package manager inside of Linux and be like, hey, show me all the different options. And there's going to be a lot. All right.
And also one thing to consider when if choosing the OnlyOffice suite, on the Wikipedia page, there is a fact box or about box on the right-hand side. And it says the mobile apps are freeware. So keep that in mind. If you are only going to use free software, you might want to check the license on the mobile apps.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Yeah. Overall, though, I like LibreOffice. I've used it professionally. It does everything that I need. I do still want to have a look at OnlyOffice. I did tell them that I was look at it and see how you could improve it for authors down the road. I know chatting with some people that when I was at a writers conference a couple months back, we ended up, I was chatting with a couple of publishers out there, and they all, most of them use OnlyOffice, or not OnlyOffice. They were using OpenOffice because you can do the typesetting and such with it as well. So these are all good options there. So the point is, there are a ton of options for Office suites. These are just 4 of the more popular ones that we highlighted here. But if you check your repo, there will be a lot. Your repo, man. Check your repo, man. You'll find a lot more out there. I'm going to flip back through comments. Anybody want to jump in while I figure out where we're at here? Well, don't everyone talk at once.
Yeah, I'm using LibreOffice as well. I don't see any reason to use another one.
I think as far as PDF solutions, were you responding? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, keep going.
Somebody. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. I didn't realize I was muted there. I think for PDF solutions, Ocular is great. Also, Events is pretty good. I use Ocular. Mm-hmm. It has tab view and things for multiple PDF documents to be viewed there. I won't say this. Yeah, I think for open source solution, Ocular is a great option. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I cannot get that on Linux. I cannot get that running Windows. I cannot download and install Ocular for whatever reason. I've tried.
Lamer.
There is a difference. Evans and the other PDF software. There is a difference between how they print. Evans just prints the PDF as it is in the document, whereas the I'm blanking on names today, but the other software I have a Norwegian invoice software that I'm the upstream maintainer for, and it prints it generates the PDFs that you are to print, and the K PDF viewer. It shrinks the document somewhat, just a tiny bit, but it's enough that on a pre-printed invoice software, we have some. There is some guides on there's some regulations on how they are to be printed in order to be readable by the invoice machines that are processing all the thousands of invoices a second, and if there is outside the margin, then it won't read it. So that's one thing to consider.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know as far as printing your PDFs, LibreOffice does a good job with it. OnlyOffice apparently does as well. Go ahead, Dan.
The thing called Document Viewer does a good job of printing PDFs as well. But I think it's a fork of something else, and the distro just named it, Document Viewer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is Evans. It's the shortcut that starts is called document viewer.
I've seen it in many distros,
Yeah.
like Ubuntu and stuff like that. And it just says document viewer. But I'm inclined to believe that it's a fork of somebody else's work.
Yeah, probably. I know the document viewer also can read ebooks, which is nice.
Ooh, good.
Let's see. Lamer has noticed some of the computers at the hospitals have LibreOffice installed. That's very cool.
I just checked the package information on the Evans package, and the summary is a GNOME document viewer. So Evans is the document viewer that Dan is talking about.
Let's see. Move to OpenOffice and then LibreOffice, Google Docs, along with a website called Print a Calendar for Activity Calendars. There you go. Other things I didn't mention earlier, LibreOffice also has a PDF, an active PDF creator in Draw, so you can use Draw to do active PDFs. And there's just so many other features that it has in it.
Yeah, I remember using LibreOffice some years ago to edit a PDF that I received. I needed to change something that I needed to submit a form in order to recuperate some expenses many years ago. And you had to fill in this thing, and it was before the PDF viewer could read the forms. So I just edited the fields that I needed to change, and it was quite good at changing the PDF in order to print it.
Lamer says OnlyOffice looks more professional, but Frank Zen says I hate the ribbon. Amen. Boom. Fist bump. I hate that ribbon too. Prefer LibreOffice with the Office 2003 look. Okay. Oreos are good.
I've gotten so used to the non-ribbon, without the ribbon, that I think if I tried to go back to using the ribbon in Microsoft Office, years ago I used Microsoft Office 2007 and I loved it. And I think if I tried to go back to doing that, I would not be as efficient, because it's just, you build up a muscle memory where everything is in LibreOffice. And if you really think about it, everything's kind of grouped there for your most commonly used task in a very logical manner.
Not to mention, on LibreOffice, you can customize the toolbar to do what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, you can totally customize it. Deep customization, does it not, Tom?
What's that?
Pretty deep. It's got pretty deep customization.
Yeah, you can do a ton with the toolbars and customization in LibreOffice.
And you can also do the ribbon if you choose to do so.
Yeah.
I believe they added that a while back.
Yeah. God Sabu?
I just remembered my mother's husband. He worked for about 30 or 40 years in the biggest IT company in Norway, Sintef. He worked at a sea laboratory. They have an indoor pool, and it is the biggest indoor indoor pool testing facility in Northern Europe. And his task is to process the data and convert them to the format that the customer wants. So someone who needs to build a new ship type, a new type of ship, they hire this company to make models and test it and so on. And he has many Office spreadsheets and Office databases and so on. And he is a spreadsheet guru. But he has come to the conclusions that switching to another Office suite is simply not possible, because all the types of formulas that he is using that LibreOffice simply do not know how to handle. So that's one area where if you are already using Microsoft Office in a highly and using quite complex formulas, you might not be able to switch to another Office suite. So that's one thing to consider when you are starting to decide what to use for the future.
All right. Yeah, changing.
Sorry, we're not more lively. I'm just
No,
tired.
it's fine. I'm just trying to process
I can
that.
see where that's an issue if you start using something like a spreadsheet with all kinds of formulas and stuff to come up with a conclusion.
Yeah,
You know,
I did
and another
notice.
package just don't know how to handle it the same way.
Yeah, I know that all of my budgets and stuff, I originally wrote them back in the old Microsoft days, and all of those with all their formulas, they transferred over just fine, but it wasn't doing anything insane. I've not pulled down the old graduate school files, so I don't know how my old ANOVA analyses done on spreadsheets will hold up in LibreOffice. I can't say I've tried them, but I don't know. That'd be fun, right?
Yeah.
First thing I'd have to do is remember what an ANOVA analysis does,
I remember he telling me he told me one a few years ago about an example of how he used his spreadsheets. He could have and he had some spreadsheet and he needed to enter some formulas, and some of the cells needed to fetch data from another spreadsheet document, and some data was in the Microsoft Access database and so on. So and he has tried. He did try at one point to switch to another Office suite. He tried the LibreOffice and he tried the Office suite that came with Mac OS X when he switched to Mac. He has been using Mac for almost 10 years now, and he still needs the Microsoft Office suite in order to do his job. And the last 5 years, he is doing some consultancy work after he retired, because he is the only one still to this day who know how to operate, how to maintain the proprietary Unix system that they are using. They are working to switch it out, but it's taking its time.
Gabic
so
USA
needs Microsoft Office to do its job.
Yeah. Gabic USA says Apple Office is free. Apple has an office? This is new to me.
It depends on what he means by it's free. So
Yeah, I didn't know Apple had such things.
Let's see. There's
Apple
Microsoft Office at the Apple Store.
yes, there is.
There's iWork. Is that what we're talking about? I guess he's talking about iWork.
Numbers.
Yeah, here's
It has
iWork.
a
Document,
spreadsheet
spreadsheet, presentations. Oh, okay, look at that. Apparently they do. They have pages, numbers, and Keynote.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's a thing. Okay. Well, news to me. Well, good thing I really don't use Apple products. I mean, I can't say that I'm all over them. I mean, oh my lord, let's all get the greatest Apple products.
Yeah,
so
they
can
put all
tell us
that
when
stuff
we're
on your
depressed and
phone
stuff.
too. Scroll up just a hair.
Oh, and they let me go back to that. David's favorite dinosaur. Nice. And pet hotel and daycare. I hope the pet hotel and daycare is not a dinosaur daycare and dinosaur pet. This is my pet brontosaurus. It's 85 feet tall.
Yeah, you get a bunch of useless junk with your new device, like books, and they give you keynote numbers.
I can say that iBook is actually a decent e-reader on Apple. I have to unfortunately say I have to test with it for doing books and stuff, but
all right, I'll give you that one. Pages, the stocks, iMovie. They actually got rid of their music app in their device. They don't have a dedicated solid music only device. You have to settle for iMovie or Apple TV now.
Oh, joy. That's all I need. Apple TV to watch music.
Yeah, so you got to install a third-party music player if you want to deal with music only.
I'd say a good something to touch on is scanning apps, because there's, and again, just like with the PDF readers and the well, maybe not so much the Office documents, but well, with the PDF readers, there's a lot of like overlap. Like I know that
Right.
Gnome calls theirs document scanner. With the scanners as well, there's some overlap.
Simple scan.
Yes, Simple Scan is probably my favorite because it's the most lightweight, and it just does a simple scan.
I've had less problems with that than I've had with actually getting the printer to work. The scanner always works with anything.
Yeah. It depends on which printer scanner combo thing you're using. I know brother printers work better than brother scanners. Epson scanners work better than Epson printers. So depends on what you got.
Interesting.
As far as the latest Linux Mint 20.2, that actually even finds Canon network printers. And I can't remember. I didn't check if it does the scanner as well, but whatever that's worth. Well, we are coming up on the hour line, so I think we should wrap this one up here. I will be streaming on my Christian channel tonight, and we're going to be talking about science, gender, and God. So if you are interested in jumping on over there, you can come on over there and have a look at what we're doing there. And with that, today, hopefully you've learned a little bit more about Office suites on Linux. I would just take a look at LibreOffice, and if that doesn't work for you, check out OnlyOffice, and then go into your repositories. There's probably better things you'll find than WPS and PageMaker, but that's my personal thought. Anyone else have your final words? Salbu, give us your final words.
Yeah, just these days, or for the last 10 years, I think the Office suite that generally comes with the distribution that we're running most likely will do the job. But in the Mint or which one it was to ship the proprietary one, just be diligent in checking that for those who care about using free software, that they don't ship, that you don't install a proprietary one when you don't want to use one. So just use the one that comes with the distro. Is usually going to be just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, final words?
Yes, LibreOffice. Give it a shot. If it doesn't do what you got to do, well, you got to use what you got to use. But I would take a look at LibreOffice for starters if you're starting out.
Yeah. And Mark, final words?
I would say if you're new to Linux, or you're recently adopted Linux or have a distro, you're relatively new, you don't know a lot about the open source world or what's available, consider moving some things that you normally use for proprietary software over to open source options. And one of the best things you can do, if you run a very user-friendly distro, a lot of them have software stores, and you could just spend hours just picking out software that you like. And the beautiful thing is, most of it will not cost you a dime. And you can find anything under the sun about it. There's very little gaps in Linux that open source software does not cover. There are a couple areas that we have that are kind of gaps, where there's not a lot of available software options, if any at all. But
gaming,
I mean, everything from video editing to documents to photo collecting and editing apps, like somebody like Wendy off of DLN. I believe she uses Linux for a lot of her photography and stuff. And
Yes, she does.
yeah, so anything you're into, there's so much software out there, and it's quality software. The majority of it nowadays is much better than it used to be years and years ago. Open source software is actually very good. It's just something to consider if you're interested in FLOSS, free and Libre open source software.
Yeah, and if you don't and if you have a problem deciding what Office suite to use, if you are new to Linux, as Mark suggested, find a friend or a family member or someone who already is using Linux, and ask them what they are using and why they are using it, and try out what they are using. In the same way that if you are trying to select a Linux distro, find someone that you know who you can ask for help for the first few weeks or something until you get your feet around.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll wrap this up here. I will be on the Christian channel in 1 hour. Link is there in the comments there. A few lines up there. So with that, guys, we will see you tomorrow for the weekly
Thanks everybody for
news
coming
roundup.
out, and I'm sorry for the.
Of course, the coof kills me by tomorrow, but I don't see that happening. All right, we'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
See y'all. Have a good one.